Hello, everyone. Welcome to the episode 18 of The Switch. It's an interview series collection of personal true stories of individuals switching to a raw or a vegan lifestyle. I'm Cseuz, and I'm a holistic health coach and a holistic fasting and raw vegan advocate. And we are here to create community connection and inspire everyone towards the path of health, compassion, and vitality. Today we are welcoming Michele Svachina to the show. It's March 31st, 2021, and we are going to hear all about Michele's switch to a vegan lifestyle today. So she's just about popping on. I feel like I hear her.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I have no video yet, but yeah, but for whatever reason, it's just taking a moment, and hopefully I'll be there soon.
Great. So,
there we go. Hi.
hey, hi. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes. Well, what are you grateful for today? Let's start with that.
Oh, I am grateful for the sun shining. It's still a little bit chilly here, but it's shining, and I just got back from the park with my kids, and we were outside. So I'm really grateful for just being outside today.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah,
How about you?
I'm grateful for the warmth that's coming through right now. We're getting these nice breezes, and it just feels so relaxing and opening. So
Good.
where are you coming from? Like, where are we talking
I
about?
live outside of Reno, kind of close to Lake Tahoe, kind of in the middle of nowhere. So
Oh, beautiful. So are you in
yeah.
the mountains?
I'm right up against the mountains. I'm in a big valley, and then right against the mountains is where we live.
Oh, beautiful. So
Yeah.
I'm in Occidental California right now,
Oh,
and
wonderful.
yeah, we had a whole stormy weather storm, and now it's just kind of opening up. It feels like spring, and I'm
I
super
know.
happy. So,
Yay.
so for people who have never heard of you or met you,
Hmm.
again, you're Michele Svachina, and we know
Good
that you're
job.
a health coach.
Yeah.
But what else can we get to know about you?
Well, I haven't always been a health coach. For my entire life, was a professional singer and dancer and actor. And that's what I always studied. That's what I did professionally for over 20 years. And I did that up until I had my kids. And then I was still performing, part-time after having kids until COVID. And then I don't do it anymore because of COVID. So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow, yeah.
Hmm.
That must be hard.
Yeah, it is. It's like it took some years to kind of shift over away from that because that's what I love so much. But now I'm really curious to see what will happen. My sister also is a professional performer who is still performing, so she's just like doing random things right now, and I'm not sure if things will ever open up, which is sad.
Mm. Well, now that you have this time, what do you love to spend your time doing, and
Oh
what kind
yeah,
of passions do you
absolutely.
have?
Health is definitely my hobby. I love researching lots of stuff and learning as much as I can about the human body. I think it's amazing, like how we can regenerate ourselves. And of course, I love to hang out with my kids and my husband. And we just actually got to go to just outside of Monterey last weekend and just be outside and in nature. And that was fun. So as much as I can get outside and focus on health and hanging with my family, I'm good. That's what I like to do.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and also for people to get to know you, like how long have you been on a vegan path so they can have a reference point of what?
Yeah. I've been vegan since 2009, and I've gone lots of different directions with that. And I feel like I'm heading in a new direction now. But I think it's a wonderful way to live when you talk about compassion for the animals, as well as the environment, as well as overall health. I think that I can't imagine ever going back. And I grew up hating meat anyways, so it was kind of just a natural progression from there.
Yeah, that's interesting because
Mhm.
um, yeah, I haven't met that many people who had that awareness as a kid, or maybe it
Mm.
was just something they weren't expressing, but You know,
Yeah.
did you grow up vegetarian at all, or did you
You
not?
know, my parents, I grew up in Hawaii and we used to eat meat very occasionally, but because we grew up in a tropical location, we were always eating that we had salad every single night for dinner. If we had, anything, it was mostly pasta, and we ate papayas for breakfast. And so it was just kind of, my mom really never really, enjoyed meat that much anyway. So I think it was just kind of the environment that I grew up in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so when was the first time you heard about veganism?
In 2009.
Oh,
So a little backstory, my good friends of ours, the boy of the couple is from Poland. My husband's from Poland, so it's his best friend. And the girl of the couple is from France. And so the first time I heard about veganism, it was raw veganism because they had switched to a raw vegan diet and they're performers and we're performers. And they had been telling us how they'd been working on a ship and they were performing on the ship, which is what we were doing at the time as well, and how they were basically raw vegan on a ship. And I was like, what? That sounds crazy. How is that even possible? And, you'd have to like stuff cucumbers down your shirt because you can't bring food on board. You're not supposed to. So they were constantly smuggling food, and I got into that as well. But yeah, so they are the ones who explained it to me and just told me like the detox benefits and the health benefits. And I was like hooked immediately. And I just dove into the water of learning about all of everything. Yeah.
that's a big contrast. Because
Yeah.
do you mind me asking, was this the raw vegan cruise that happens in like Croatia or something with?
No, it wasn't. So as a performer, like one of the good jobs that you can get is working on a cruise ship, because you get to, of course, perform, but you also get to travel the world for free. So when I heard that that was even a thing, I was like, sign me up because I really want to do that. And so at the same time, around the same time, my husband, who wasn't my husband at the time, and that friend, the raw vegan friend, they started working on ships and we all met at that point. But it was just regular cruises for regular people going on a cruise. And
Huh.
when you're a crew member, you live on the ship for 6 months at a time, and the food that you're allowed to eat is absolute crap. And so, so just a lot of like smuggling fresh fruits and vegetables on, and whenever you could go and up to the passenger area, I used to have this big bag that had like a pretty structured shape, and I would just shove as many oranges in there as I could to bring them back down to my cabin. A lot of fruit and vegetable smuggling for sure.
So it wasn't actually on the ship that you like, it wasn't that they were on the ship and they were switching to raw vegan. They had been raw vegan and they went on this cruise ship and they were living the lifestyle while doing their job and
Yeah.
trying to get in what they could to maintain their lifestyle. Okay.
Yeah, and it was hard. I mean, you
Yeah.
can always find excuses for everything, or you can do everything, and they were making it happen. But it is hard because sometimes security will be like, they'll find you out that you have, in the grand scheme of the world, like really you're bringing fruit on board. That's a crime, but it's not. But in the ship
Yeah.
world, it is because they have to be really conscious of, you know, um, getting bugs or anything like that on the ship. So they don't want people bringing, things in. Just the same way that if you were to travel to Hawaii, like I know you did recently, they do like the customs, make sure you're not bringing any seeds or anything from different places. So I
Yeah.
understand it, but also I bent the rules a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, they also, when you come into California, I think you're not supposed to bring in like citrus or some things that could have a certain type of fruit fly or mold or
Yeah.
um so let's rewind a little bit and kind of
Okay.
paint a picture for people.
Okay.
Michele, before she had met her friends who are doing a raw vegan lifestyle, what was your lifestyle and diet like, so that people can get to know what you're transitioning from?
Yeah. So, I mean, all I can say is my whole life I struggled with being overweight from a kid. My mother is from Cuba, and my grandmother lived with us, and she was a food pusher. So I would have like 2, 3 breakfasts every day, eggs. At like 5 years old, I remember eating 2 eggs, and I would have some kind of a cereal, a couple bowls of cereal, like just way too much food. And so even from an early age, I struggled with weight. I remember like my mom trying to help me run the mile, and it was so hard because I was a fat kid. And, so always just trying, even through like adolescence and stuff, trying to do whatever I could to lose weight. And I just was always struggling with that, bouts of going into disordered eating. And as a performer, it's really important what you look like physically. And you do weigh-ins all the time for whatever job you're contracted for. And then I worked in a lot of shows in Las Vegas, and you're hired at a certain weight, and if you don't maintain that weight, it can be grounds for being fired. So weight was always a big deal to me. So I was always searching, what is the diet that I can have where I don't have to be starving myself all the time, and yet I can have enough like stamina to, be able to have enough energy to make it through 2-3 shows a day. So that's definitely where I was coming from. I tried, the typical bodybuilder, lots of chicken and protein shakes, and just felt like crap. But I kind of felt like that was what I had to do, restrict my calories to 1,200 calories. And, okay, this is my life, because this is, because I'm naturally, my body wants to be bigger than than I can have it be for my work. So that's definitely where I'm coming from. A lot of restriction, a lot of deprivation, a lot of, self-hatred with diet and food. So a bad relationship with food for sure.
Well, it also sounds like there was a lot of frustration and a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah.
So psychologically and physically, that's a lot of stress. And what kind of shows were you performing, so we know what kind of like activity level that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about, if you've ever seen like Come Into Your Town, or any people who are joined right now, like if you see like a Broadway style show, that's where I'm trained. So typically, like if you think about even like Grease, or I don't know, any Broadway style show, I did that. And then in Las Vegas, doing some of I was never in Cirque du Soleil, but like the Cirque du Soleil type shows. Also, if you think about the a cappella group Pentatonic, Tonics, something like that. I did that in Vegas for a long time, which was very physically demanding vocally. Just like Vegas-y style, showgirly things. That's what I've always done.
A lot of dance, which is...
A lot of dance, a lot of singing. Yeah, a lot of stamina.
Yeah, that world definitely has huge pressure for body image too.
Mm-hmm, it does.
So it sounds like you were coming from like the high protein mentality, but then struggling with like, how do I even do that if I'm trying to keep my calories low, which was the restriction mentality.
Yeah, totally. And like it's really funny because I never questioned that. I just kind of figured, well, that's what you have to do. I didn't have any knowledge of anything else. And when I met my husband on a contract, he was like, why are you eating all that fake food? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? He's like, that protein powder, it's fake. You don't need to eat that. You're putting chemicals in your body. And I know it sounds really stupid, but I'd never made that connection before. And then we worked with a lot of acrobats who are from, different places in the world. And even them probably have like hardly any body fat and are pure muscle. They only ate meat maybe once or twice in the week, and that was it. And I was like so puzzled by that, because I feel like in America, it's just shoved down your throat that you have to supplement with protein powders and BCAAs and like all these chemicals, and you actually don't. You can just feed your body real food, and the muscle tissue will grow as you absorb, real food. Yeah.
So it sounds like also that you had a big preconceived notion that I need to have high protein, I need to have animal products to be able to like be strong and be physically in physically demanding things. I need to be able to perform. And I was an athlete, and so like that definitely was pushed on my mentality as well. And you have to eat meat to make muscle kind of thing. And but it sounds like you also found these people who were giving you a different example where they could eat whole foods and more natural foods. It sounds like they're still eating meet sporadically.
Hmm.
So then when you first met your friends who actually were into veganism and raw veganism, um, and just for the sake of this interview, we were going to focus on the vegan aspect.
Yeah.
Do you, how did you switch from that mentality? Like, because it's very, it's in opposition, obviously.
Well, I think honestly I was searching for something to get me out of this cycle because I didn't feel great and my muscles were always sore. I remember like having like a rolling pin that you'd have in like the kitchen, and I would bring that with me everywhere to like roll my muscles out because I felt like I was constantly in pain. I had like, shoulder problems and my hips were really painful, and so I was constantly just rolling myself out everywhere. But that was because of all the inflammation that was in there. They showed me an author, I'm sure you've heard of him, Andreas Moritz, the gallbladder and liver flush. And they had just been telling me, like, this is what we're doing. It's amazing what comes out in the toilet. Like, you got to try this. And I was like, okay, let me borrow the books, let me read everything, and let me get on board. And I did. I don't know. It made sense to me. And so I was able to switch. And I think that when it comes to becoming vegan or changing, if you have that kind of intention behind it, then you're able to do it. If you don't have any understanding or knowledge about why you're changing, it's only going to be a short, change for a little bit.
Yeah. So what were some of those anchor points like that help you, like specifically for you personally, when you read that book? It sounds like that book was a big catalyst for
Yeah, it
your,
definitely was.
yeah, for your mind shift. So what were some of the key ideas that he shared in that book that you were like, oh, it maybe is different?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how toxic you could be, even if you thought you were eating healthy. I didn't realize that your body could just, be storing all those toxins for your whole life. And the source of all disease can come from holding toxins in the colon and the liver and the gallbladder. And I was just blown away. I learned about colonics at the same time, and I just started doing those. Oh, and another thing that I was like very, I remember taken aback by at that time was learning that cancer can come from your food. I mean, this all seems very
Yeah.
basic now, but like at the time I was like, what? This is crazy. You mean these diseases aren't just like a mystery, like, oh my God, I got heart disease, or oh my God, I got cancer. This happens because of how we fuel our bodies. And so that was pretty mind blowing to me at the time. Obviously, now there's a lot more information, and probably people are like, duh. But for me at that time, it was, it was a big deal.
Well, this is important because some people watching may still have,
That's
a
true.
lot of people are coming from older. Some people are watching and they already know some of these things, but that's what's so interesting about hearing everybody's very specific individual journey. Like, I
Hmm.
forgot about, that aspect or something, or
Yeah,
someone who hasn't actually done that research yet doesn't know it at all. And that's what's
that's true.
cool because it's like you're sharing the one aspect of like, here we are going from like, you need this and this is what makes you healthy, to like you think you're being healthy and then actually you're building up toxemia in the body, which is creating all these, heart disease, cancer, a stroke, like a bunch of
Hmm.
top top diseases in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah,
So
totally.
yeah, so that was probably shocking for you.
It was really shocking for me. And I would say initially I wasn't super connected with the animal brutality that was going on because, again, if you don't know about it, you don't know about it. And, I never had to go and kill an animal by myself. So I just didn't even connect those two. I'd say the animal aspect of it and the ethical side of veganism didn't come till a couple years later. But initially, I was really drawn in by how you can change your health by what you put in your body and the facets of detoxification. And I mean, I was probably really annoying to everybody around me because it was all that I could talk about. I was so interested, and it's pretty much all I talk about. I just love it.
That's cool. So you're really coming in from like the body awareness, I would say,
Hmm. Yeah.
genre of like or theme. and because you're this performer and you're so aware of your body and how it's moving, because you need to be,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of really fit into this whole body, like deepening of this body awareness, that how to really cultivate health and how to let the body function optimally.
Mm-hmm.
um how did you go, so did you, and then you said you didn't even hear about more of the ethics side for a couple of years, like, and there's also the environmental aspects, like
Mm-hmm.
did the environmental aspect also come later?
Yeah, I would say the ethical and the environmental came around the same time. The thing that I want to just backtrack real quick
Yeah.
is that when I started doing the detoxing and when I just pretty much went vegan overnight, I think I probably had cheese a few times in, a year or two in. That was a hard one for me to give up. And we know because it has addictive properties in it. But I saw weight loss happen that I've been trying to get rid of my whole life. It just happened effortlessly. I had so much more energy on stage. And being able to have a big lung capacity for vocals while also dancing is very, very important. And I just saw such an improvement in that, and the inflammation aspect. I was like, there's no way I'm going back. Anyways, fast forward a
Yeah, no,
couple years.
I'm gonna rewind back to that point too. So
Okay, well, go ahead if you have something that you wanted to say.
yeah, I want to dive into that
Okay.
aspect, because so you just dropped a bomb on us. You were like, I just went vegan overnight, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But was it, so like you found this, did you find the book and you read it in one day and went overnight, or was it like you read the book over a few weeks and then
I
you started the cleanse and then you decided after the cleanse you're going vegan? How was the actual mental process and decision process?
I think it was pretty quick, just because I was so amazed with the information. I did read the book probably within a couple of days, and my husband was not on board, but he was very supportive. And so what he would do is when we did cook meals together, he would cook his stuff, his meat separately, and he would like saute me some veggies or something like that on the side. And there was never any issue with that. But I mean, once I kind of, the light bulb turned on, it was a very quick shift. Maybe over, I think immediately I was like, well, I don't like meat anyway, so we're not doing meat anymore. And then, like I said, I kind of just learned how to get away from cheese. My friends that, introduced me to this kind of showed me how you can make cheese out of nuts. And I was like, what? How is this possible? And it tastes good. And like, just mind blown, all the changes and just things that you don't even think about when you're just eating a regular standard American diet. So it was quick. It wasn't literally overnight probably, but it was within a couple weeks, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
And with your husband, you said at first he wasn't on board, but he actually was helping you um by facilitating like food when he was cooking
Yeah.
and all of that. So
Mhm.
that's pretty supportive.
Yeah,
And
very supportive. Like I guess on board is not the right word because he's always been very like, okay, you do I'll support you however I want or however you need me to. He just had said, I don't think I'm going to be vegan ever, and I'm okay with you if you are, and that's okay. So that was enough for me. I mean, when I met him, he only ate the typical Polish diet of sausages and bread, and the only vegetable I ever saw him eat was it was a tomato or a pickle. So it's come full circle with him. But, yeah. So initially it was just that. And
wow.
then in 2000, I want to say 12 or 14 or something, we were working on a ship contract together. We'd already been married at this point. And a group of our friends, some acrobats, as well as some other dancers and singers that we always hung out with, we all watched Earthlings and all the documentaries, right? We watched Earthlings, we watched Forks Over Knives, Cowspiracy, maybe at that time, I don't remember when that came out. And we were just like, what? Oh my gosh, let's do this. So those people who were our friends weren't vegan or vegetarian. And I had been vegan, but the rest of them all decided, let's be vegan. And then on another contract after that, some of those same friends of mine, we said, let's be raw vegan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of fun. We did it together.
So for timeline's sake, you found the book, you took a few days and you really soaked it in and read it, and then you really were convinced and you decided, I'm going to go all in. And yes, it was a challenge with cheese, but with a few experiences, you saw that it wasn't serving you.
Yeah.
And sounds like you let that go. And when was that time from then to watching all those documentaries? Was that like within a month or a year?
No, that was a couple year stretch. So that was 2009 when I first learned all this stuff. And immediately, I think in that first year to 2 years, I did a liver detox every single month and started doing colonics, back ending that on a monthly basis. And I have never been so healthy in my life. And that was awesome. And so I was living and working in Las Vegas in a lot of different shows. And I was, like I said, in top form. It was wonderful. We decided to go back on ships. And I believe this was either 2012 or 2014-ish. So it was a couple years of just trial and error and learning how to cook things and learning also the big connection as a performer. You wear a lot of stage makeup and realizing how toxic all that was too. So just reducing the toxic cosmetics and lotions and potions that you have to put on yourself to be sparkly and beautiful. And then trying to find clean beauty products. And at that time, there wasn't a lot out there and they were all horrible. I remember like coming back to, change to the next costume for the next number, and like the mascara was like completely down my face. The lipstick had shifted. I'm like, this does not work. And so just being on, that trial and error time of food as well as makeup. And I remember I lived really close to, ironically, a raw food restaurant in Las Vegas, and going in there and finding out about a book by Marcus Rothkranz. And I know that you mentioned him in your interview as well, and just being like blown away again. There's so much to learn. So yeah.
I remember seeing one of his first YouTube videos of, he just had this like list scrolling down of all the things he healed himself of. And I had heard raw foods get healed, and I was just like, jaw drop.
I know. Yeah, totally.
Wow, so you were actually physically near that whole scene.
Without knowing it. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So I'm curious, like, about you had mentioned like your body feeling tight and inflamed and and then you had mentioned the weight loss. And actually someone here says, Michele, I watched a lot of your YouTube videos and I learned a ton. So thankful that I found you. I've lost 20 pounds in less than 2 months following tips from Ella Bone.
Yay, good job.
That's amazing. And you mentioned you lost a lot of weight. Like, I'd love to dive into that. Like, what kind of what were you experiencing physically? And then like, what were the things that lifted from switching to a cooked vegan diet?
Yeah. So, I would say from the beginning, I didn't really know any different. And at that time in 2009, of course, there was some vegan processed foods accessible, but not as much as today. So I just thought, okay, I'm vegan and this is what Andreas Moritz and Marcus Rothkranz say to eat. So I drank vegetable juice every morning. I made smoothies every day. I think typically I would have like a piece of Ezekiel bread and then lots of salads and vegetables. And then like at dinner, I would have some kind of cooked vegan food. But so from the beginning, I never even thought, oh, I need to have processed vegan foods in my diet to make it feel like something, like I'm not missing something. But to get to your question, sorry. I felt
it's good to hear like the whole progression of it.
Yeah. So I definitely felt the inflammation, decrease so much because, like I said, my job was very physically demanding and I was constantly sore. Again, I had this freedom. I could finally eat something. Man, I was hungry for 28 years. I was really hungry. And so I could finally eat and feel full and not feel sluggish and feel like really like I was nourishing my body. And then the things that I noticed from the detox aspect of it, which I'm obviously very passionate about and I feel is life-changing for people. I just, some of the things that I saw coming out of my body, I was like, what? This is crazy. And just feeling so much better, and just knowing, even from that alone, even though I hadn't, connected the ethics and the environment with it yet, I was like, I'm sold. This works. And I was ready to tell anybody about it.
Yeah. Wow. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you also had, so it sounds like you included also a lot of fresh raw foods too.
Yeah.
Which makes a big difference.
For sure. And I actually have a really funny story during that time. Maybe it was like a year into being a vegan. We were on a very strict budget, and I told my husband, I was like, what do you think about buying organic produce? And he's like, oh, I think it's expensive. And I was like, what if we, buy everything that we possibly could at the regular grocery store? And what if we can spend $20 a week and go to Whole Foods and buy some organic produce, which $20 at Whole Foods doesn't really stretch that much, but he was like, okay, we can do it. And we were, again, blown away. What a difference in the taste. And and starting to then understand that aspect of it, and how, you don't want to be eating pesticides and chemicals and having your fresh fruits and vegetables be even more vibrant and appealing and good for you.
Yeah, I remember I saw this documentary called The Truth About Monsanto, and did you see that one?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that really anchored in the organic aspect for me, because when I first switched to vegan, I just kind of bought what the produce section had. Mm-hmm. And I also thought of it as it seems like this luxury, and yes, it is a little bit more in but if you find the right sources and you buy in bulk, you can definitely find a good, you can save money for sure. And the taste difference is so
huge.
Different. It's huge.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did your performance shift?
Oh man, I was like on it. I was on fire. Because I know this sounds very superficial, but it's just true. Because my body looked better, I was able to book more work. And then I would be able to go through a full show, which can be very demanding, and still feel like pretty good. Most of the time, the way shows are set up on land and at sea is you do a 45-minute show, and it's like shot out of the cannon. And then you have probably like 45 minutes to an hour, and you have to do the whole thing over again. So you have that little bit of a break, and then you do the second show. In some structures, you're doing a matinee and then 2 shows at night. So it's a lot. But because of the diet change, I felt like I had so much more energy. And my husband too, when he finally did decide to go vegan, he was like, man, I can breathe. I feel lighter. And that's a huge thing, because when you're constantly jumping and lifting your body and moving and lifting other people, like that lightness is pretty amazing. And just that sustained energy was definitely something that we could both feel.
Yeah. How long did the influence rub off on him till he switched vegan? Because you did it in 2009. Was it shortly after? Or?
It wasn't. It was not until we watched Earthlings and all the rest of the documentaries, whenever that was, 2012 or 14. I can't remember. Because we were on a ship, the same ship for both of those contracts, so the years are blurring together. But yeah, so finally, and I think it was really helpful for him to have the support of 2 other guys who were acrobats, and they were handstand duo, so they had to lift each other all the time. And so the 3 of them were pretty tight, and they were like, yeah, let's do this together. And they all felt amazing. And actually, we still keep in touch with some of those guys, and they live in Vienna, and they're still vegan. So it's great. Yeah.
Wow. That's nice to have have everyone on board and supporting each other. So did you notice anything like challenging about making the initial switch, or even during your journey? Like, if you want to touch upon maybe some top challenges that have really taught you something, maybe even.
Yeah, absolutely. I think food-wise, shifting was the cheese, like I said, and ice cream, because sometimes I would get done with a show and we would just eat ice cream. And so until I realized there was vegan ice cream, and I had that. But then I also realized at a certain point, this isn't really great for you to be having all the time. So just reducing those and finding, I think it's easy for when people are just coming into eating this way to have a couple of things on rotation that they know they can go to. So instead of like using the ice cream idea, just having a nice cream with the bananas, frozen bananas or frozen other fruit, and finding that thing that kind of in the moment satisfies the craving, but also mentally, this is way better for me. So those were the things that just building up my little arsenal of different kind of cheese recipes that I can make, and different, finding like my husband, this was a big one for him, using avocado and garlic and I always forget how to say this, kamanalak. It's the black salt. It kind of has that sulfury taste.
Yeah.
And so he puts that on his avocado toast and it tastes like eggs to him. So that's something that he can go with. So little things like that you kind of pick up along the way. You figure out what suits your own tastes, and then you find that you make that connection and you realize you don't need the other stuff and you don't want to have it because of, like factory farming and things like that. You don't want to put your dollar towards that. And so you find these substitutions that work for you, and then you just keep going and keep finding new things.
So that sounds like when you come up upon a challenge, like a craving or something that you're struggling to like let out of your diet, you can really look for the vegan substitute and really plan creating it. You have to decide it and go out of your way. But once you kind of implement that new habit, it satisfies you.
Yeah.
Without like giving you the negative consequences of the other choice.
Totally. And I think that's like, I think you can really relate that to any part of life. Like, when you have your reason why and your intention why you're making a change, and you keep that as your driving force, then you're able to sustain and keep experimenting until you find those little fixes that work on an everyday basis. So it was definitely that way for me when it just coming into veganism.
I've noticed you share a lot about your family, and I was reading your bio and it talked about how you had a home birth and things like that.
Yeah.
Now, two home births, if I'm right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that I thought that was really inspiring, and it sounds like were you vegan throughout your pregnancy? Did you notice any benefits to that or challenges? Like how was that? How's your vegan path related with your family life? And
yeah, absolutely. I was born at home, and I've seen the video of myself many times growing up, and I always knew that I wanted to be to have my children at home. And I think for me, it was a wonderful experience, both times, very different. But I'm so happy that I did have home births, and I had, it's really funny, the first time with Eli, my son, who's now 3.5, my midwife didn't make it because she was sick. And so we just had some assistants there from 2 assistant midwives who were amazing. And then the second birth that I just had, my little girl Naya, she's 8 months old. I was really overdue, and it was like at the height of COVID, and I really didn't want to have to go be induced at the hospital. And so I was doing everything naturally that I could do, and under the directives of the midwife. And it was a Friday night, and they were supposed to take me to the hospital on Saturday, because in Nevada, if you go over a certain, I was 42 weeks pregnant. You should probably give birth, because it starts to be high risk for the baby. So the next day I was supposed to go to the hospital, and I was praying, I was having castor oil, I was eating all the things they say to do. I did everything that they possibly said to do. And I went into contractions the night before I had to go to the hospital, and the baby came so fast. My husband delivered her in my bathtub. The midwives didn't even make it. And backtracking, both pregnancies were vegan. My children have been vegan since conception, and they're both very healthy. Of course, I don't have a point of reference to know how it is in relationship to other pregnancy, but I can say I had no swelling. I know a lot of people get really swollen feet and legs and a lot of edema. I didn't have
Wow.
any of that.
That's huge.
I think so too. I was
Yeah.
really happy about that. I mean, it did take me longer than I wanted it to lose the weight postpartum. My first pregnancy, I only gained like 20 or 30 pounds, and it took me a while to get rid of that, or longer than I wanted to, but it was fine. And then this pregnancy, this most recent one, I gained a lot more weight. I don't know if I was just hungry. I don't know what the deal was. But anyways, I'm still in the process of losing that now, and I'm just letting it, hasn't even been 9 months that she's been in the world. So,
Uh,
a little bit at a time here. But all that to say,
Congratulations. I mean,
thank
that's
you.
amazing.
Thank
And
you.
you're
Thank you.
glowing. You look really
Ah,
beautiful. So,
thank you. I appreciate it.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, pregnancy and birth is not anything that can be explained to you until you go through it. And it's a crazy ride, but I do feel like I was pretty even keel regarding emotions. I mean, you hear about, a lot of craziness going on with the hormones and stuff. And I do feel like I was able to, especially with my first pregnancy, do everything that I did before, and listen to my body and slow down when I needed to. And I did have a pretty long birth with some complications and tearing on the first time around. But again, I think it's because you have no idea what to expect. You don't know how to let your body relax and release. And at a certain point, you're just like, when is this going to be over? And the second time around, I was able to breathe through a lot more. And, it's a crazy thing, and it's a wonderful thing. And it's one of the most amazing things that I've ever experienced in my life. So both my kids are vegan. My youngest daughter, my daughter she's starting to eat solids now. So I feed her a lot of fruits. She loves bananas and avocados and any kind of berry, any kind of fruit she'll eat. She has tried some carrots. She loves to just have a cucumber and a sweet potato if I cook anything. And my son, he's basically a fruitarian. He eats all fruit, has green smoothies every day, and he does like pasta. That's the one thing I don't feel great about, but it's okay. But yeah, they're both vegan, and they're thriving. They're
Oh,
they're
amazing.
beautiful and wonderful, and I'm really blessed to have them.
Wow, what a blessing.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing about the edema and the water, the swelling, that you
Mhm.
didn't really have that as much. And, within the vegan world, there's also like different camps of like, higher fat and lower carb, and then higher carb, lower fat. Did
Mhm.
you do you feel, and I know that sometimes inflammation can be attributed to like oils and things like that. Do you did you consciously like keep a lower fat profile? Like, what's your take on this, and how did you increase it while you were pregnant?
Great question. I think it's a wonderful question. I think that, again, it's something that in our society we're led to believe that we have to have oils. We have to have a lot of higher fat in order to have good brain function and healthy skin and nails and all of that. And I've always ascribed from the beginning to a lower fat vegan diet. I used to use oils, and I stopped using oils probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, because I just started learning more about that. So I think it's always an evolution as you continue to learn. And through both pregnancies, I did not, maybe I had like a little bit of oil with Eli, but not very much. So pretty much no oil with either pregnancy. And I kept my fat on the lower end still. There's a lot of, as you know, I'm sure, health benefits of keeping it lower fat. That doesn't mean you're having no fat, no overt fat at all. It's just being on that lower end, I really think is what agrees with our body for optimal health. And just because it's lower doesn't mean it's not adequate. It's the
Yeah.
adequate amount. It's not, I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of human history, that's the adequate amount. It's not low fat, but it's
Yeah.
low fat compared to what we're taught as a society today. So yeah, definitely high carb, low fat for myself, and then also for the pregnancies and the kids.
Okay. Yeah, that's key. That's huge. I'm
Hmm.
glad. I'm secretly glad that you have that take on it. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
For
I was
sure.
kind of opening the box on that one, and
Yeah.
could have gone either way because I don't know. And then also, I didn't know if it needs to switch during pregnancy at all. But idealistically, like I wouldn't think it would because if we're optimally functioning with adequate lower fat under 20%, more
Yeah.
near 10,
Yeah.
then it would be logical that it would also be during pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
mean, in pregnancy, I'd say like if there was a day when I was like, man, I want some nuts or I want some avocado, then I would listen to that. But overall, absolutely under 20, definitely closer to the 10 to 15 as a constant for pregnancy with me anyways. That's what I felt worked the best. Yeah.
yeah, and for people who don't know what we're referencing, we're talking about percentage of calories in your overall daily intake. So if you have 2,000 calories of food, then you would keep it like around, you know, 200 calories to get 10% of them being your overt fats.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's huge. And because I think people could listen to this and be like, oh, I'm just going to go vegan, and then I'm not experiencing all these benefits. I still have inflammation. I'm not lowering my weight, or my hormones are not balanced, or I
For
have
sure.
heavy menstruation or periods. And
Hmm.
a lot of that is affected by fat intake as well
Totally.
as all the other diseases. So this is a
Hmm.
huge point, and I'm really grateful that you're talking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's huge, and I think it's what what a lot of people that I interact with on a daily basis, they have no idea about even looking at that, and when they are able to switch it, they feel the benefits and see the difference in their physical bodies.
Yeah. And also going along with that vegan switch, like people think of proteins like chicken
Bring
or
on the
egg.
nut butter and the
Yeah,
peanuts and
and
everything.
they're actually overt fats. Like
Hmm.
you actually a lot of the calories are coming from fat. So they're kind of mislabeled.
Yeah, they totally are. And I also think that just a regular layperson coming into eating this way, you don't realize that every whole food has some percentage of protein, carbs, and fats in it. So even if you're not thinking like, oh man, I didn't have my handful of nuts today, you still are getting some percentage of fat, even if you just had a bunch of veggies and you had some grains or whatever you had, there's still going to be some fat in there. I believe like even oatmeal and broccoli have fat in them.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
like generally most fruits and vegetables already have like 5 to 10%, which is
Hmm.
what we're actually recommended to have. So
Totally.
yeah, so everything does have different balances of the three macronutrients that
Hmm.
the carbs, the proteins, and the sh- oh my God, I'm blanking out.
Carbs, proteins,
Carbs,
fats.
proteins, and fats. That was a moment.
I have those often, don't worry.
I'm like, I totally know this. So this is really inspiring. I feel like you're this testament to like you can even go through huge body transitions and like this lifestyle works and you can find benefits and maybe some things that are commonly thought of as like assumed that they're supposed to happen don't even need to happen. Like
Mhm.
so going from there, do you feel like you had any longer term benefits that you're noticing from incorporating a vegan lifestyle?
I think that overall health has been really pristine and great for the duration that I've been vegan. I'm currently dealing with a problem that I'll share maybe in tomorrow's interview because I think, although it's a little bit embarrassing, I think it's valid for anybody who might be going through the same thing. And so I'm researching and learning more about how to go about fixing that naturally. But up until this issue, yeah, I've been in phenomenal health. I never get sick. Um, Both of my kids, when we went to Monterey over the weekend, it was just colder and they did have their feet in the water and they got the sniffles. But 1, 2 days with the sniffles and they're fine because they're eating real food. I just make sure that they're getting lots of real foods from the earth in their bodies, and the sickness time is very few and far between. I think that was the first time Naya got sick, and Eli was sick maybe 2 years ago. And when you think about kids, there you always see snotty nosed kids are like
Yeah.
always sick and catching everything from everybody. So I know, for our family, that's a big deal because as a child, I grew up, I was always sick and I was
Me
always on antibiotics, and they were like going to do tonsillectomies. I didn't do it, thankfully, but I think I had strep throat, so many times. And to just know that my mom did the best she could, but to know that that's not the reality, that doesn't have to be the reality, I think is amazing, And what else long term? I don't know. I feel really happy about the way that I'm eating because it doesn't harm another being, and it doesn't contribute to harming the environment. I feel that it's a great way to eat and a great way to live. And I love to share the message with people as much as I can, because I think that it's really life altering, and nobody wants to go through life when they feel tired, run down, in pain, and just kind of subpar and think that, well, this is just how it is, and I'll probably get some disease when I'm older, and that's just life. But it's not. You can make those environmental and nutritional changes and truly change. It's never too late to upgrade your health. I really feel it's just never too late. You can turn it around. So I think that's a good thing about eating this way.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of people think it's connected to their genetics, but a lot of genetics, whether you have the predisposition to it or not, are turned on or off by your lifestyle. So that's a really great reminder for people to hear that it's never too late. You can always do it, and you can always benefit from
absolutely
getting healthier.
There's a book, if anybody's watching, that is kind of feeling like genetics play more of a part than the environmental. I believe it's called The Disease Delusion. And it's pretty technical, so just make sure you're focused when you're reading it. But it's a great reminder that the food that we eat and the environment in which we live and the stress, all of that plays a huge part in who we are. And I'm sure you've heard the quote, the genetics load the gun, but environment and nutrition pull the trigger. And I think it's so true.
I haven't heard that expression
yet. Oh, no?
Yeah.
I don't know who said it, but I think it's a good one. It kind of hits home.
I love that.
Yeah.
So let's see here. I was, curious, like, now that you've been on the path for a while, like, what do you feel are the biggest hiccups or challenges other people you've seen have with switching to a vegan lifestyle?
I'd say the biggest thing that I see always is just not a failure to plan in advance. If you can plan in advance, you're going to be ahead of the game. If you can have a plan in advance for what you're eating throughout the week, that's going to be helpful to you. If that means prepping a couple things ahead of time, then that's what that means. If that means knowing, these are going to be my breakfasts, these are going to be my lunches and my dinners, having a plan. Typically I talk and work with people who are wanting to lose weight. So also just knowing that time in the day when you're going to be triggered, if it's 4:00, it's going to be 4:00 every single day. So what's your plan basically to overcome that? And I think that a little bit at a time is great. Some people are all or nothing and can go overnight, but the majority of people can't. And so you just do a little bit at a time. You be kind and gentle with yourself, coming from a place of love, and begin to just investigate why you do what you do, and if there's a better option for you to change it and to do better. And I think that we all in our heart of hearts want to do better. And Ella just said planning is huge. I completely agree. I think we all want to live our best life. We want to be happy. And I really do feel that this is a big way that we can impact the quality of our life and the life of those around us. And so, planning ahead and just really knowing why you want to do it. and connecting to that when you are having trouble along the way. And if
Yeah.
you fall off and you get back up. We have a million bites in a day to try again.
That's a good take on it. Well, talking about planning, I know that you're not just planning for yourself, you're planning probably for your family, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
what's your favorite way to plan? Like, do you just make, let's say, a stew or something that lasts 2 days? Or like, how would you describe the way you like to plan?
Yeah, I think my biggest plan is starting way in advance. Like as soon as I realize I'm out of something, I'll write that down on a grocery list. Because when I get to the grocery store, if I have no list, I'm like, why did I come here? It's like I walk in the door and I have amnesia. So I need that list. And so I just start writing down what we're out of. If somebody's like, oh, I want to eat this and we don't have it, I'll know that I want to get that ready for the next week. Typically, I work from home and I am home a lot. And so I don't do a ton of prep because I also think like things kind of get gross, or if we're talking just vegetables and fruit, they just oxidize as you just leave them there. So but I work from home. So if people don't work from home, maybe planning ahead and making a couple meals to have in advance is a great idea. I think like my husband works at night. So typically if we're going to have our largest meal, we have it in the day. We both like to cook. But for some people that might mean making some chili or making some potatoes or something that is going to be nourishing to them that they can then quickly throw in the fruits and the vegetables. But for me personally, I make sure that we always have frozen fruit and things that we can make smoothies out of, lots of fresh produce. We have a really amazing greenhouse that we're able to use. It's not ours, but it's huge and beautiful. And I go up there all the time to grab our fresh produce. And then, a few times a week, we make something that we all want. And I have some staples on hand for my son, and my daughter's easy at this point. So yeah, just making sure that we have everything here that we're able to pull from and have a little bit of forethought, I think is helpful.
Yeah. So really get in on the grocery list, like be really aware of what you need. Stock up is part of the planning. So just have a big load of what you can grab from your stock. And then, it sounds like simplicity is a big part of the planning, like making it simple for yourself. Like you said, knowing what you want, like for me, it could be like smoothies in the morning and then a fruit meal. And then like knowing what those things are in general. And then like maybe switching it up a couple times a week with what you said, like make a big meal that everybody wants.
I think that's a great, you just articulated that in a much more condensed way. And that's great. And I think that's wonderful. If you have like kind of, this is my base plan. This is what I do. And then, you can stray from it ever so slightly on occasion where you're just feeling bored. But on a base plan, I have, like a smoothie, a fruit meal, a salad, or whatever it is for whoever, is having a think about that. What is going to make your life function and be obtainable for your schedule to make this work on a daily basis? And then just kind of reverse engineer it so that it works.
Yeah. Think about the end game, and then I like that, reversing it.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what kind of like mental, emotional, spiritual things did you notice?
Clarity, mental clarity. Before I had kids, amazing sleep. I feel like I haven't slept in almost 4 years, which is really not healthy or great. But I know that this time is short and it will pass. But amazing sleep, lots of dreams, and being able to think clearly and being able to focus really well. Again, just as a mother of young kids, it's a challenge now, but I know it's not food related. It's just the stage of life that I'm in, and I know it will be on the other side. But yeah, absolutely. I think there's, especially like when we're talking about going on a fast or just juicing or something like that, the mental clarity, the spiritual connection is huge, and you leave maybe this part that's been ignored in your life before, you're able to plug into that, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It may not just it could be like the point you're in with your children in your life, but it also sounds like because you have the more energy from, instead of draining your energy with the food you eat, you're
Yeah.
allowing yourself to have energy to be present with them, and then, really give them the focus they need to tend to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want more of that, which is something we can talk about tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I definitely, that's a huge motivator for me to have as much energy and vitality as I can as I get older. Because I was performing my whole life, I didn't have my first kid until I was 37, and I didn't have my second kid until I was 39. So I want to tap into that fountain of youth that comes from raw foods and being, really as to my 100% as possible for my family and for my kids and for all the rest of the things that life has to offer.
It's beautiful. So be it.
Yeah. So be it. I love it.
I'll support her mission.
Yay.
So, I guess we're kind of nearing the close of this interview, but I was really curious, before we do that, what do you wish the rest of the world could know about the vegan lifestyle?
I think what I would love to, sorry, I'm just reading a comment. I think what I would love for people to know about the vegan lifestyle is that it is 100% doable. It's not as hard of a switch as you maybe feel it might be. I think when you can get a little bit of education on the subject, and there's so much out there now, on YouTube, on so many documentaries. If you can get a little bit of understanding about why you would want to do this, and then implement, like I talked about, like 4 or 5 things that you can always have as a go-to, that is much easier than you think. And that I really do think at a point in the near future, if you aren't vegan now, you're going to have to become vegan, because we're ruining the resources and that are available to us. And I think that it's a switch that a lot of people are going to have to make, whether they make it now or whether they make it down the line. And it's more of a out of necessity thing. I think, might as well learn how to do it now, and do it healthfully, and do it in a way that you see how just switching this one thing can add so much value to your life. I'm really passionate about people being able to find a higher version of themselves, a better version of themselves. And this is one way that you can really access that in a pretty short amount of time. You can start to see a difference in, 3 weeks, you would start to feel a difference. And then, within a matter of months or a year or so, you're going to truly feel so much better. Like, why not? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to live well? Do it. Do it now.
Yes. Yes. Oh, hallelujah.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Like,
yeah.
I feel like just the self-expression that can come out of, fueling yourself in a way that aligns with the harmony of your body and your being, and it can just facilitate the wholeness of you. Someone says, I'm 61 and I feel at least 10 years younger.
Yes.
A princess 50 says. And someone says, I can't stop thinking about the liver cleanse now. What is whole food plant-based for 3 years now, and it's so difficult for me to lose.
Yeah, this is a person that I speak with frequently. So hi. Okay. I think that you absolutely should look into detox. It's not something that I talk about a lot on my platforms, just speaking specifically to her. However, I think there's power in it. I think there's a lot of power in it. So look into it.
And just kind of like a little gratitude nugget. What's the thing that you feel you love the most about your lifestyle, the vegan lifestyle?
I think the best and most wonderful thing is that food is the most simple part of everything. It doesn't have to be complicated. Getting the nutrition down and underway allows you to live your life. When you're sick and you don't feel good, you do anything you possibly can to regain health. And when you have health, you're able to go out and do all the good things that you're supposed to do anyways, and live your life and help people and be happy with yourself and enjoy your family and all the things. So yeah, I think that this is a great way to do that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at this question. I know we're wrapping up, but
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be, I was actually thinking about it. It's from Richard, all about feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Just went off, but
Oh, okay. Here I am.
here
Can you
we
hear me?
are. So like, do you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. There's this little, I've never done a live before. So there's an X in the top corner because I'm somehow in the comments. Can I X out of that and not disconnect with you, or am I going to disconnect with you?
I
How
think,
about this? I'll just put a heart, I'll post it, and then, yay. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm back.
okay, cool. I wasn't sure what happened, but we did have a question about, I know we're wrapping up, but just to honor
Yeah.
your journey with colonics. I'm actually experiencing this too, and I was curious. I've also done the series of month-long series of Andrew Moritz's cleanses. It's actually quite the process. I just want to share with people that if you are thinking about doing that, definitely read the book first, because it's a commitment and it's kind of like a surgery. You don't want to go halfway and then get off the surgery table. Like, you're releasing very toxic things from your body, and they'll start traveling, and they've been put away in a corner for a reason. So once you start the extraditing process of that, you definitely want to follow the protocol of the book.
Absolutely.
And so that's just something a side note I wanted to mention, because then also Richard asked, been wanting to try getting into, how do you feel colonics has helped you? Been wanting to try getting into that, and just started with enemas so far. And someone else, Ella, says she does enemas too. So colonics and enemas are different. Enemas you can do at home. Colonics are more of like a whole process where you connect with a machine and you do it in someone's office. How do you, Michele, feel colonics have helped you?
I think they're wonderful. I'm actually looking into becoming a colon hydrotherapist myself, like in the near future. We'll see if it happens. I'm just really busy. But anyways, I think they're wonderful. I think they are a wonderful tool to help detoxify, and they are very different. Just like Tina said, doing enemas at home, I think, is a great thing to do, but that doesn't clear out your whole colon in the way that the colon hydrotherapy can. But I think it's a great thing to add in. I think you just have to be really cautious. Like you said, you have to make that commitment to really doing this. Like, if you decide to do, somebody had asked, what's the name of the book? It's Andreas Moritz, tell me the title. Liver and Gallbladder
The Miracle Gallbladder and Liver Cleanse.
Yeah, look up on Google any of those words and I'm sure you'll find it. But absolutely read the book, because like she said, you have to, do you have it there?
Yeah, I have it in Spanish because I did it in Spain. So I lived in Spain, and I have the book right here, but it looks different in English. But I think it's called like the Miracle Liver Gallbladder Flash or something like that.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Definitely, I think if you're stopping to see kind of the results and the health that you're wanting, it's definitely good to kind of look into that. Another book that's really good to take a look at is Dr. Jensen's Guide to Better Bowel Care. It goes into kind of how to do a colema board and what the difference is between like colonics and enemas and all the things like that. You can take a deep dive. Anything by Dr. Jensen is great. Andreas Moritz as well. I don't agree with everything that he puts out, but for the most part, I do, diet-wise, I mean, because I think he does more of like the Ayurvedic kind of diet style. And anyways, yeah. So I think there's absolutely benefit to it, and I think that you should definitely look into it. Colonics, like somebody said, can get rather expensive. So if what you have available to you is an enema bag, and you're able to even do that, like, take a day a week, and yes, Thank you. That's my husband. The amazing liver and gallbladder flush. That's what it's called in
Oh,
English.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, really good. I think it's something to definitely to look into and to begin to learn about. But I think it is a commitment to make sure that you commit to, and you don't just after having that go back to some kind of junk food, because you're actually doing yourself more harm than good.
Now, what kind of, so this is two different topics, the one with the liver and the gallbladder cleanse, right? And then
Hmm.
the colonics could be just done on their own.
Yeah.
What kind of benefits did you really feel when you were doing them? Like,
Okay. Yeah. Good,
can
good
you,
question.
I don't know, it's kind of hard to remember maybe, but if you
Yeah,
can.
I think mental clarity is huge, especially like directly after you're like, I can conquer the world. You know, you feel so fresh and clean and like light and bright and switched on. I think that is an immediate benefit that you can have, but you can also know that you're really ridding your body of so much mucoid plaque and just garbage and toxins that have been, your body does whatever it can to help you function and stay alive. And it's storing these toxins in pockets of your body just so that it can function. And when you're able to give it a chance to help aid it in getting rid of that stuff, you really can feel a difference.
Yeah, our intestinal tract, like I think it's the large colon, is it that has the or is it the small colon?
I'm
The
not sure
one
what you
that
want to
has
say.
the one that has like the undulated wall. I think that's the large intestine, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that those pockets definitely get like fecal matter,
Hmm.
old fecal matter, like hardened and stuck there. And that's, we have neurons there too. It affects our irritability, our
Hmm.
moods, like our thinking, and obviously the rest of our body and how it's working. And
Totally.
so yeah, with colonics, you can really it's flushing the water and pulling it out with a tube that kind of like sucks it out, like it goes in and then goes back out. Have you ever done the herbal kind where it kind of almost hardens around everything and then you poop out the mucoid plaque snake?
I never have. I've only done the water colonics. So how does that work? Like some kind of oral detox? Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, it's
Mm-mm.
I haven't done this one and I wanted to try it once. It's I forget, it's like something herbal. It's like herbs. So what you it has like I should know. Like some corn husk psyllium and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Actually, yes, then yes, I have. I just
okay.
didn't know that that was the name. So when I got really into that Dr. Jensen book that I mentioned earlier, that's the protocol for that. You do a bunch of different herbs. You do alfalfa,
Yeah.
you do flaxseed tea, you do psyllium husk with the bentonite clay and apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
And so you do that, but then in addition to that, you're either doing enemas or a colema board or a hydro or just doing a colonic. So yes, I have. I've not seen come out of myself, like at home by myself, those pictures that you always see of the mucoid plaque where they're like holding it up with chopsticks.
Like a snake.
Um, yeah. But I know that I also, like in some colonics, I have worked with the therapist long enough for her to be like, oh my gosh, you should have seen what just came out of your body, in the most professional way possible. But it is pretty crazy what can come out. And I think that it's eye opening to let you know that even if you eat healthy now, you still have, when we're born and when we're babies in the womb, the genetic kind of weaknesses can come from generations before us as well. So it all has to do with how you ate your whole life, in addition to what came before you, and you want to get that junk out. I don't want to scare anybody, but I think that it's important to get that stuff out.
Yeah. Um, and also like maybe naturally you can do this with a whole food plant-based diet or especially with a raw diet. It's just way longer process. So
Yeah.
it's the good thing about anchoring in a lifestyle and diet is that it gives you the tools that you can do every day, day in, day out. And these are just shorter term tools that we're sharing right now. I just wanted to clarify that for some people,
Yeah.
because maybe they don't, you know, a lot of people get attached to the effects and benefits of that are happening, but you can actually have these benefits long term if you also anchor in the
Absolutely.
lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And someone just said, is the colonoscopy the same? And I do believe that it probably cleans you out initially when you do that. But this, I think when it comes to detoxification, it's something that you have to do periodically every year. You know, a lot of books recommend seasonally detoxifying, because even if you eat the most pristine diet, we still live in a world with a lot of toxins. And just doing it periodically, not making something that you obsess over, but helping your body, like you said, fast track it in those seasons of cleansing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So this is like our little cap nut, like our bonus chapter.
Yeah. Totally.
Detox Now special.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful that you came on, and I was just wondering if you had any projects that you're working on or excited about sharing with anyone on the channel today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, because I basically invited myself because I love what you're doing, and I think it's
Awesome.
really fun and authentic, and it's nice to hear where people are coming from and what brings them, you know, on this journey. So thanks for having me, and I love your story. So if you're watching and you haven't seen the interview where Tina is interviewed herself, definitely watch it because I think it's very inspiring.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I just finished up my second cookbook in January. It's called Eating Whole. It was really a passion project to me because I work with a lot of weight loss clients, and a lot of times people just don't know what to do on a practical level. So that's something that I did, and I have a YouTube channel, Vegan Michele, and my website, Vegan Michele, as well. And if you are interested, reach out to me here or there or anywhere. I love talking to people and helping them get healthy.
Well, I'm excited for you. I'm just getting to know you better, and I really resonate. I love where you're coming from, and I really hope that all your products go really well. I highly recommend them, and your YouTube channel is amazing.
Thank
How
you.
long have you been doing it?
I started, I think in 2014, but it was while I was still performing full time, and it was primarily just focused on makeup, clean makeup, because I just couldn't find anything that would stand under stage lights. And through the years, it's kind of evolved, and always been part time until COVID hit, and basically like I didn't have any performing going on, and I was like, well, maybe I can start to do more videos and see, you know, if things can move forward with that. So I did. And so basically I've been kind of going full force with it just for about a year now. And I've met a lot of really wonderful people. And I believe that, the recipes and information I share has helped a lot of people, which I'm super happy about. Makes me so happy to be able to help people. And I know that might sound cliche, but it's truly, what is in my heart. And I love it when someone can feel better and be able to like move on and whether it's weight loss goals or just, being able to tackle one area of their life, they can tackle everything else. And I think that's great.
I love that. So everyone check her out. It's vegan _ Michele on Instagram. And then YouTube, is it?
It's just Vegan Michele. And then the website is veganmichele.com.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Any parting words would you like to share before we close?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people were interested in the detox stuff. So come learn more tomorrow. Because although I don't share that a lot on my channel, that's definitely where I love to talk about. And I'm going to share kind of a struggle that I'm going through right now that I believe that we can address tomorrow. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it, Tina, and it's been great to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm so excited, and I can't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be our next Raw Switch live, and it's going to be on Thursday at noon PST. And I'm just grateful you came on too. It's been exciting, and I can't wait to find out your next leg of your journey. And thank you so much for being vulnerable and like opening your heart and sharing. And I know that maybe someone says, what time tomorrow? It's going to be at 12 noon PST. And that's Pacific time. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful for you, and I look forward to tomorrow.
Hey, me too. Thank you guys so much for watching. And
Yeah.
yeah, I look forward to tomorrow as well.
Great. Okay. See you later. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.